chapter 25 of the parasha. It says, "But Yosef, Avraham, and Avram added on, Vayikach Isha Ushma Keturah, and he married a woman whose name was Keturah." So Rashi says Keturah is Hagar, and why is she called Keturah? Al Shenayim Masek Keturah, because her actions are as beautiful as a keturah, as the incense. That's the first explanation. The second explanation is Vishekashra Pischa. Shalon is Dagval Adam Miyom Shapir Shami Avram. That keturah can be in Aramaic to tie up. So she was like, so to speak, she wasn't with any other man from the day she left Abraham. Yeah, this is the halacha of what's called Machtir Grushaso, that if a woman is married to a man and they get divorced, then if the woman is allowed to remarry the man as long as she doesn't marry another man in between. If she would marry another man, then she wouldn't be allowed to return to her husband. In this case, Sarah went even farther than that. She wasn't even with another man. And so it just shows her chastity. So let me tell you a story from the Harav Ben Yair. He says, after the tzaddik Rabbi Yehuda Tzvi Mistratin departed from the world, the Hasidim were hesitating about whether or not to appoint his son, Rabbi Avram. And they said, this Rabbi Avram is just a shadow of his father. His father was like the sun and he's like the moon. So one of the Hasidim jumped up and said, Hagar was formerly the wife of Abraham. So why does the pasuk wait to start praising her until she's keturah? When she was Hagar, she was just criticized. I don't know if she was criticized. The pasuk wasn't praising her, but only when she's keturah is she praised. So it teaches us that as long as Sarah was alive, we didn't notice the great deeds of Hagar. But when Sarah departed, now we saw the beautiful deeds of Hagar, and we say she's like the keturah. So too, the son, as long as the father was alive, we didn't recognize it. But now that the father is no longer there, now we recognize the other one's greatness. And so then they appointed him to be the Rebbe. It is interesting to me that the rabbis feel the need to relate to Hagar, to Keturah as Hagar. Why do you think they feel that need? They couldn't just let things be. Let it be. They could have just let it be. So they couldn't just let it be. So
I don't
anyway,
think that I ever thought about this, but the fourth son is Midian, and so maybe the rabbis wanted to tell us that we are related to them, especially after Moshe and Yitro got engaged in marriage. So
there are cousins. Say that there are cousins. Okay.
father, yeah, well, cousins, yeah, sorry.
Okay. Very nice. But anyway, the two words keturah relate to two praiseworthy words, either ketoret or kashra. She tied herself. So then it says, Vatelo at Zimran, vet Yakshan, vet Medan, vet Midyan, vet Yishbak, vet Shuach. And she gave birth for him for Zimran, Yakshan, Midan, Midyan, Yishbak, and Shuach. So then Yakshan Yalad as Shavav as Dedan. Yakshan gave birth to Shava and Dedan. Ubnei Dedan ayu Ashurim, Lutushim, Lu'umim. The children of Dedan were Ashurim, Lutushim, and Lu'umim. Who are these people? Haim Rashi Umos. They are the heads of the nations. Ashurim and Lutushim. So, meaning to say their names were not Ashurim and Latushim, their names were Ashur and Latush. But because they were the heads of the nations, they were called Ashurim and Latushim. What do these words mean? Interestingly, Unkelus, the Targum translates it as says, Ein li liyashvo al Lashon Mikra. He says, I don't understand how to translate it. Meaning to say that Rashi doesn't understand Unkelus's translation. Unkelus says, Uvenei dedan hayu ashurim otushim ulumim, and Unkelus translates that as Uvenei dedan havu lamashiryan v'lashkunin u'anagvan. That he translates it as, Unkelus says not that these were their names, but it says that they were encamping in caravans, in tents, and island dwellers. So Rashi's saying, I don't know how to explain that. Because he said Ashurim is Lashon Machaneh, is camp. So basically Rashi doesn't understand Unkelus. What's Lutushim? According to Unkelus, these are tent dwellers. Hey, Shepsel, how you doing? No, well, we're already having a chavrusa with Thera on the Zoom, but now we have you in person. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so we're chapter 24, verse 4. We're saying that the children of Dedan were Urim and Latushim. Rashi says that these were their names, but Onkelos is saying that it's description. These are people who dwell in tents, who are scattered all over the place. And each person, as they travel, they go in their palatial tent. Okay, verse 5. Vayitain Avram et kol asher lo Yitzchak. And Avram gave everything that belonged to him to Isaac. Wow, this relates right to our chapter called Yesh Nochlin. He said Isaac is going to inherit him, which is actually not really the case, because the firstborn son was Ishmael, and Ishmael should have received a double portion, when instead Avram gave everything that belonged to him to Isaac. What does this mean? Says Rabbi Nehemiah, it doesn't give, it's not talking about property. It's not talking about the physical property. What it's referring to is the spiritual property. It's referring to Baracha di Atiki Shelo Natanlo. He gave him the right to dispense blessings. The right to dispense blessings. Shamar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Avram ve'yei bracha bracha musurot biyadecha levarech ad mi she'tirtzeh v'Avram misaron leYitzchak. I'm giving you the right to give out blessings to whoever you want. That was basically what he gave him at that moment. Okay, now we have a very important verse. B'nei Apilagshim Asher Avraham, and to the children of the concubines that belonged to Abraham, Natan Avraham Matanot. Abraham gave them gifts. Vayishalchem me'al Yitzchak beno bodenu chai, and he sent them away from Isaac while they were still alive. While he was still alive. Cain mal eretz kenem. So Abraham gave the sons of the concubines gifts, and he did it while he was still alive, and he sent them away. What is this referring to? Who are these children of the Pilagshim? Rashi says he only had one concubine. It's written without a vav to tell us he only had one concubine. And who was that? That was Hagar. She is Hagar, who is keturah. Rashi tells us, what's the difference between hello, Elon, how are you doing? Every day of my life is a bracha, but today is a double bracha. I see you in the morning and the afternoon. You don't have a kippah? You have your kippah? Okay, you have a hood. That's good enough. Okay. Right. So he said, what's the difference between a concubine and a wife? Rashi says, Pilak Shim below ketubah. So the concubines have no ketubah. They don't have a ketubah. So the wife has the ketubah, which means that if he wants to divorce her, he has to give her a big settlement. And the Pilak Shim, they're without a ketubah, which is a little bit anachronistic because the ketubah, there's no real references to the ketubah in the biblical text. So to say that that's the difference. But Avram gave them gifts. What does it mean he gave them? What's the gift? This is a very, very difficult Rashi to understand. It says he gave to them, Rabbi said, what does it mean? Shem Tuma Masar Lahem. He gave over to them a name of an impurity. We're on chapter 24, verse 6, Elon. Chapter 24, verse 6, he gave over to them a name of an impurity. 25:6. What does that mean? He gave over to them a name of an impurity. So that's based upon the Gemara, meaning to say, he gave to them, according to the Gemara in Sanhedrin, he gave to them a name by whose pronunciation he would be able to perform sorcery. So this does not refer to an actual gift, because it says he gave, the previous verse says he gave everything to Isaac. So he gave them ability to do sorcery. So Rashi's following the opinion that since they weren't Jewish, they were allowed to practice sorcery.
And to be fair, they were allowed to, and therefore they thought that that was a wonderful gift, right? Like, you know, Harry Potter or whatever. Like,
did you ever read Harry Potter, Sam?
Saw the movies.
No. Now that you're retired, I recommend that.
Okay.
It's an amazing book. The movies really were a disappointment. I hope JK is not watching my YouTube, and I hope she's not insulted because I think she's a genius. But the books were so rich and the movies were just deep disappointment to me. Highly recommended. Very, very beautiful books. But yeah, we're saying that the keturah. Did you read it, Elon?
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I watched the movies and I thought they were both pretty good. The books were probably better, but certain movies were better than the sixth.
Wow, I've never heard that.
I thought the sixth movie was better than the sixth book. Specifically that one.
Wow.
I don't know. I thought the sixth book was dragged out too long. It didn't have a lot of
I didn't like the sixth book.
stories to it.
Is that the one with Dumbledore's brother? Or Dumbledore's friend? Dumbledore's friend?
I think so. I don't remember.
Yeah. That's a very, you got a good future as a literary critic, Elon. Anyway, okay, so I like what Rabbi Yosef is saying there. Davar acher, alternatively, that which was given to him, what did he give to them? Masha nitan lo alodot Sarah. That which was given to him with regard to Sarah. Meaning to say, all the stuff that Pharaoh had given him, he gave it away. He didn't want to benefit from what they had given him when they had kidnapped Sarah. So he gave that to the children of the concubines. Why does he have to give them gifts? So there's a lot of anyway, let me first of all, we have a lot of commentary on this. Why did he have to give the children of the concubines gifts? And he gave it while it's still alive. So from here we see an important idea that if you want to give something away, you should do it while you're alive. Don't only do it after you're dead. Hello, Moshe, how are we doing?
Good. So
Every day is a bracha. Every single day of my life is a bracha. So there's a comment here from Rameir Shapiro of Lublin, the author of the Daf Yomi. That why did he give them Shem Tuma? Why did he give them this name of impurity? Meaning to say, he was concerned. This, you might not like this, but this is harsh. But this is, sometimes you got to say the harsh things. He was concerned that they were going to walk around to the world and say, we're the children of Abraham. And they're going to pass themselves off as the true children of Abraham. The children of the concubines. So therefore, he gave to them, he placed upon them a Shem Tumah. So everybody would see, these are not the spiritual descendants of Abraham. These are the children of the concubines. You understand? That they have an impurity to them. That's what Rameir Shapiro says.
Wait, are they mamzers?
They're not mamzerim, but they weren't, it's hard to understand, but they weren't Jewish, so to speak. They weren't the ones carrying on the spiritual heirs of Abraham. And so he sent them away. He said, you're not part of this family. You're not part of this. You're not a descendant. You understand what I'm saying? He sent them onward. It all seems harsh, but you know what it's better than? It's better than a protracted legal fight in probate court. God forbid. I mean, when you see that, that's heartbreaking. So he was worried that they were going to carry him on. So basically, Abraham wanted, Rabbi Baruch Epstein, who's the author of Torah Tamima, says something similar. He says Abraham wanted to prevent this desecration of God's name, so that they would pass themselves off while they were teaching idolatry, like that they're the descendants of Abraham. And so he says, don't call out in the name of God. He basically sent them off to, hey, how you doing? Wow, you got here early. Wow, Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem.
And you're wearing the right kippah too.
Wearing the kippah.
Who else was out there you saw, Dan? Was somebody else? Oh, they both. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, fine. So we're just talking about the gifts that Abraham had sent to the concubines.
For what page are we on? 133. Oh, no.
Okay. I just say one more explanation of this. It's from, hello, David, how you doing? I want to encourage everybody to read some of the Encyclopedia Judaica that David donated. David and Naomi just donated to the yeshiva. Actually, I want to talk about this, a little bit about the Encyclopedia. Encyclopedia Judaica is a great work. I happen to have a couple of copies of it and already in my personal library, but it's an incredible work of scholarship. The articles in there written are great. There's also another encyclopedia called the Jewish Encyclopedia, which is also an incredible work of scholarship with great scholars, right? These are not just basically random Wikipedia articles. You don't know who wrote it, although Wikipedia is now obviously the best. We have Encyclopedia Judaica. We have the Jewish Encyclopedia. We also have Rabbi Ben Mintz had. They left here in this library like a 1920 I forgot the exact year edition of the Britannica Library, which is worth around a couple of $1,000, which obviously we're never going to sell. But the Britannica back then, does any of you guys even know what the Britannica is? I think every home that's my age or older grew up with a Britannica. Did you grow up with a Britannica, Dan?
So my father, because he was a teacher, had a problem with encyclopedias because they thought people would just go to it and cheat.
Like Wikipedia today.
So we didn't have an encyclopedia at our house. That was very deliberate, but we had thousands of books And my dad wanted us to do research from the books we had.
Because now going to the encyclopedia isn't even like.
But whenever I go to my friend's house, I would read the Britannica.
Yeah, nowadays you don't, nowadays going to the encyclopedia, an actual encyclopedia is considered to do like original research. No, seriously.
First,
What?
that's like a first-hand
It's a
account.
primary source.
Yeah.
It's a primary source. Okay. So let's just see what the Vilna Gaon says about this word Pilag Shim, then we'll go on. It says Pilag Shim Chaser Ksiv, it's missing a letter. Shaloi Sal Pilag Shachas. That there was only one concubine, and who was that? That was Keturah, who was also Hagar. So if that's the case, it should have said Ubnei Pilagish. Why did it say Ubnei Pilag Shim? Why didn't it just say like that? The Vilna Gaon asked that question. So he comments that Rashi says that the Pilegesh is without a ksuba and the wife has a ksuba. And furthermore, if there's a man and a woman who are married, the divine presence is resting amongst them. So, says the Vilna Gaon, by a man and a woman, you have the letters Yud and Hey. Basically, what's the difference between an Ish and an Isha? The Ish has a Yud and the Isha has a Hey. So that's God. And by Ksuva, you have the letters Vav and Hey, which spell the name of God, meaning to say that the divine presence is amongst them. But the Pilegesh, without the Yud, is written, Pilegesh without the Ksuva is missing half of the name of God. And that's why it says Pilag Sham. It doesn't have the Vav or the Hey. Peleg Shem, half of the name. That's only the Vilna Gaon can come up with that explanation. Basically, he's saying if you're with a woman and you don't go about it the proper way, you don't have a marriage, then you're missing something in your life. That's what he's saying. That the ideal is, the Judaism teaches the ideal is the spiritual destiny is a marriage. So that's what they're trying to say. That's the spiritual destiny. Okay, so now the next verse tells us, we come to the next Rashi. It says, alternatively, says the Rashi, Ve'elu yimei shnei chayei Avram, these are the years of Abraham's life, asher chai ma'at shana v'shivim shana v'chamesh shanim, 175 years. Vayigva vayamas, and then what happened was, he expired and he died. Abraham died, b'seva tova, a ripe old age, zakein v'savei, v'yeyasef elamav, and was gathered towards his people. So Abraham died at 175 years old. Why does it say he was like 175 years old? So remember the first Rashi in the portion is Sarah was 100. She was like 20 with respect to sin and like 7 with respect to beauty. But here about Abraham, it says when he was 100 years old, he was like 70. And he was 70, he was like 5 below Chait. It doesn't say he was beautiful. It just says he was without sin.
But you know he wasn't.
What?
Don't we know he wasn't? Like, for example,
Yeah.
Ramban argues that he committed a big sin with respect to Sarah and Mitzrayim.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's true.
The pshat isn't here that he
That he had no sin. No, obviously, yeah. Yeah.
Lying usually is not considered a sin in the Torah.
I'm
It's
sorry.
just when it comes to monetary.
You can shut it out. And he was doing the gardening. Say it again now, Rabbi Yosef. I'm sorry.
No, I believe that there's no prohibition to lie in the Torah because even Hashem
What?
lied to Avram in last week's parsha, but
I mean,
who
that
left?
maybe the sin wasn't lying, but he did give her over to the Pharaoh.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but the prohibition to lie according to the Torah, and because it's in Parshat Kedoshim, is only in monetary matters, not
Okay.
anything else. Meaning, I'm not allowed
Gotcha.
to say I don't owe you $100. But
I mean, I kind
They-
of disagree with that, but I hear what you're saying, Rabbi Yosef. I'm not encouraging anybody to lie. I actually think God's name is truth, that obviously I don't think you should lie. I think it's okay to lie if the alternative is to make somebody feel bad. Like for example, make somebody feel like somebody comes to you with a very exciting Dvar Torah and they share it with you, and then you're like, you know what, beautiful idea, even though if you really actually think it's,
What if you tell them the truth, but it's to save themselves from making a fool out of themselves?
yeah, obviously there's some nuance that's required there. Obviously, there's some nuance required there. But anyway, okay, let's stop here because I want to just call some folks, make sure we have our minion coming. Let me just call them.